Will I go on Rogan's podcast? I asked him, and our PR people asked him about a bajillion times to go on for my book. We did not get a response as far as I know, so I don't know what happened there. It's a little weird for me to say that publicly. I don't know what happened. By the way, I reached out to Andrew Yang first thing this morning about 4 hours ago privately. Didn't hear back. Now, he could be very busy. He's running for mayor of New York City right now. We also reached out to his press team, and we didn't hear back. You know, as you guys know, I've sort of in these last 2-3 weeks sort of supported, I say supported, I've said nice things and somewhat promoted Caitlyn Jenner. We have repeatedly on this show reached out through all the proper channels to her team. We haven't heard back. We've tried on every proper front behind the scenes, and I've done it publicly. I guess we'll give it another day or two for someone to just respond. We also donated $50. I've got the stupid mug. More nonsense from the New York Times. They also got the name of the show wrong. They called it the Dave Rubin Show. I suspect I'm not going to get an apology or a retraction on either. She also got the name of the show wrong. She called it the Dave Rubin Show. We couldn't get a retraction or a correction or anything because these people aren't journalists. They're just human jokes that show up on these shows.
Dave Rubin is the host of the Dave Rubin Show. We're happy to have him.
Is that different, in your opinion, than someone singling something out for what you believe is their mental incompetency?
Well, mental incompetent. Do you mean that they're ignorant, or that they're mentally ill or cognitively limited?
Cognitively limited, mocking their ability to think, mocking their intelligence, mocking their decisions, mocking the way they talk, and then encouraging other people to do the same thing. And then that person gets harassed based on their intelligence, based on their performance on particular YouTube videos and conversations. And there's active harassers. There's people that do that. Is there a difference between, say, what Sam Cedar does to Dave Rubin?
What does Sam do to Dave Rubin?
He has...
I don't know that I've seen that video.
Dozens of videos. Don't say that video. He has dozens of videos where he's just dunking on Dave Rubin.
So, I have some as well. I believe that they are substantive.
With Dave, there's enough moments where he's misstepped where they just feel like, okay, we got a wounded antelope.
Yeah. They're trying to pick him off.
Limit it to people who have good faith critiques and or who speak with at least like a minimal degree of insight and intellect, which I hope we can agree excludes people like Dave Rubin.
But we have to decide what level of sickness are we willing to live with, so to speak, to move ahead and open the country, because I don't know how much longer we can do this.
David, that sounds ridiculous. Come on. You've got a worldwide
we have to figure out what that level is.
Caused this. But at whose risk? Yours or mine? You. It's okay if you die, right? Samsung.
And it's ringing right now.
It is. Hello? Hey, Cannon, where are you? How did you do?
Larry.
Today? Okay, Cannon, baby, I love you. Talk to you tomorrow.
I fucking hate Rubin. He is like the most hated person. I'm sorry if Rubin watches this podcast. You guys don't hate him like I do, okay? But
I'm starting to hate him more. I've never even heard of him, and I hate him now. We had him on the show, guys. Oh, did we?
Yikes.
Never even heard of the guy. Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Shapiro, will you bake Rubin a wedding cake? So the answer is no. And the reason I won't is because as a religious Jew, I do not participate in activities that I believe are sinful.
If we were having an anniversary party, would you come? If I was inviting all the crew that we all know, and we were just an anniversary party, we're just having a party, and I'll even throw in some kosher food for you to make sure you don't have to bring your own food.
You know, honestly, I'd have to think about it. In the same way.
So that's interesting to me, because that's a different thing.
Well, not really. All right, let's see.
There's a lot there. You know what? But this is what we'll keep talking about forever, and it's all right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you know why you can keep talking about it forever? Probably in a way where his extremist Stone Age views won't affect your rights, are because people like us have your back. You Koch-funded pseudo-intellectual, talent-free, policy-illiterate, hack, shallow shell of a man.
Yep. You have this on the right too, right? You're like, I'm a former leftist, and then you just say a bunch of like right-wing things. I'm not calling out anyone in particular. Maybe you all know exactly who I'm talking about.
There's a few that could fit that
Michael
bill,
Brooks had
actually.
a great impression of him. That's all I'm just going to say right there. But yeah, look, it's a great model.
Is Dave Rubin conservative now? Is he like just like, is that like, because I haven't been following
I think that's
him.
Pretty obvious.
Okay, so
and the conservatives give him more money and they watch him more, so he's like, okay, this is my audience, I have to pander now.
Okay.
I don't talk to him anymore.
I haven't talked to him
because he freaked out after I told him to just calm down.
What?
I tweeted, I can't remember, you'll probably find the tweet, I'll probably send it to you if I can find it.
Okay.
But I was like, yo, because he was like, he always tweets about like people like hating on him, and he's like, oh, fuck you, or whatever. And I'm like, why are you wasting your time with these people? They don't like you.
Yeah.
That's not gonna make them like you. It just makes you look defensive. Stop it.
Yeah.
He was like, you're my friend. You're supposed to be my friend or something. I was like, yo, you're off your good. And then he unfollowed me and then complained to Colin.
No shit.
And he was like, I don't like Chris's behavior. I was like, you fucking pussy.
pussy. Like Colin's your fucking dad?
Yeah, like Colin's my dad.
He's gonna get mad. The corporation, they don't give a fuck. They just want to sell chicken sandwiches. They're only trying to sling chicken sandwiches. Dave Rubin, I'm gonna make them in my home. Good. You and your fucking husband, who's probably so embarrassed. That poor guy, God only knows who Dave Rubin married somebody who's probably stealing money from his bank account, and good for him. If I married a dude, if I was as embarrassing as Dave Rubin, and I got married to a guy, I would hope and pray that he was stealing from me every day. I hope to God Dave Rubin's husband's embezzling money from him every fucking day. Rubin is a stand-up comic in the same way that I'm a triathlete, you know? In the way that I used to swim when I was 8. And I've ran occasionally, and I know what a bike is. So Rubin, in that respect, is also a stand-up comic.
Dave, you talked to Sam at all lately?
No, he unfollowed me on Twitter. I'm a right-wing maniac. I hang out with you people. The liberals are not nearly as tolerant as they pretend to be.
No, that. Yeah. Well, he's going to be eating that too someday. That unfollow, that uncharitable Sam Harris.
Whatever.
I genuinely forgot that it happened. I don't know if I knew that happened, but I didn't mean to lead you right into that.
The clearest bright line for me was when Trump would not commit to a peaceful transfer of power in the 2020 election. Then when the votes were still being counted, declared himself the winner and asked for the votes to, no longer be counted. Yeah. And then we had the whole Stop the Steal movement that happened after that. What did people say in those few days around Trump's patently obvious attempt to steal the election in November? There are people on your list who said nothing useful and pretended none of these terrifying things were happening. Now, Dave Rubin is not someone who said anything useful at that point or since. And that's one clue as to why you don't see much going on between me and Dave Rubin these days.
Well, anyway, this can happen all over the place. There's some danger, in the case of Dave Rubin, for example, that he's hearing, the cheers of a bunch of people who are all concentrated in one mindset, and he thinks that what he's saying is making sense, and in fact, it seems to be making less sense over time as he's moving closer to a group that is united behind ideas that are not robust.
Closer to a different ideology than one that he formerly ascribed to, but seems to be a jump from ideology to ideology rather than to more first principles thinking.
Yeah.
It is like giving birth, and it's especially something, I haven't read your book yet.
I sent you a very nice inscription on that copy.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I would have read it. I would have read it before.
Please don't pull a Baron, he means Bishop Baron, and fail to at least hint at a conversion, especially due to him being a sodomite. Just scrolling through.
A lot of sodomite.
Yeah. There's a lot of anti-Semitism that I wasn't aware of until I said I was going to interview you. Like people are like, yeah, there's some assholes on the internet.
Well, I would just say that to dumb it down just a tiny bit for the average folk, I would say that I think most people at this point think Trump likes America, and I think most people at this point think the Democrats don't.
Well, if you think that was good commentary, and you'd be the only one.
You'd be the only one.
I think firstly we should acknowledge that the fact that like he and I can have a discussion is like what the country should look like, and I don't mean that in terms of this sort of Dave Rubin, isn't it great that we can have conversations kind of idea?
A good-natured conversation. If you're a decent liberal out there, you know, they've booked me a couple times on Real Time with Bill Maher, and then they've canceled me a couple times. I'm still willing to do that. I have no problem. I'm actually quite proud to stand in front of you and tell you that I'm a conservative. I have no problem doing that whatsoever. That you can applaud for. That I thought that was going to be a big. People aren't used to live performances again. You guys know I'm live, right?